mess have you gotten yourself into? Allow me to explain. A mess that has caused the entire Bakugan community to despise, including voice actors from the show, and all the harassing you have done. You and your brainless band of cronies for another shit show. And all this because of a certain Bakugan, Deranged, the great red-winged beast of fire. He's cool and all, but he's nothing compared to Reaper. A Bakugan after my own heart. Whatever the shade equivalent of a heart is, in my case. Is it a heart? Soul? Essence?
I mean, shut up and let the video play!
Okay. Jeez, fine. Let's start the video. See if I can... Dick.
What are you gonna do? The odds are stacked against you. Back against the wall, gotta give it your all. This is the final stand. The power's in your hand. Two worlds collide on the inside. You gotta fight for what's right before it's gone. This is Bakugan.
Where do we begin? Well, how about with the fact that this guy shouldn't take a pop at people who make content when he can't even do that himself? Anti Darkus, or X-Darkus, whatever he feels like calling himself that week, is someone who I would call a YouTuber if he actually made any content at all, when all he does is post shorts of either Bakugan G2, Bakugan G3, or clips from Team 4 Star's Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and somehow make them lose any and all humor they would give. Don't get me wrong, the show is funny as fuck, especially Goku fighting Frieza.
Come now, I'm sure he's in a better place. Who am I kidding? He's probably in hell.
I don't know, I went to hell once. The only real bad parts were these two oiled-up German guys trying to wrestle me.
Are you real?
What part? Lava!
Ha! Now what do you have to say?
My butt is flaming!
I miss Zarbon.
Wow, that was close. I was almost out of the frying pan and into the... lava.
How do you function?
Hey, I'm just like any other guy. I pay my taxes one leg at a time.
I'm going to drown you. I'm going to drown you like a sack of dumb puppies.
But somehow, like this...
What is it, Quee?
Where are you off to in such a hurry?
Off to plow your mother!
it loses its charm. But Anti Darkus is someone who, according to someone I spoke to about him, has been causing arguments within the comment section of Bakugan-related videos, and no doubt he'll be doing it to this one should he see it. But before I get to showing off everything I have, let's do a little bit of backstory. In the beginning, back in the Geogan Rising days, Anti Darkus was just a regular commentator who was a big fan of Dan and Drago, and was also a fan of another Bakugan creator called Drake Flair, who was a big Drago fan. During the season, the character Magnus began doing some rather questionable things, resulting in them hating him for stealing the spotlight away from Dan and Drago. I'll be addressing this little tidbit later. But needless to say, it led to arguments happening, as well as coming off as obsessive and saying some really dumb shit. And then it evolved into toxicity, mainly because Fan Kitten got involved. Remember him? Well, if you happen to have seen these videos, then you may be more familiar with him. But that's for another video. But as Magnus got more screen time, people began to really love him, while Anti Darkus did not. And then when Athena showed up, things got worse. Mainly because of her winning and her behavior. This basically prompted the creation of the Anti Darkus channel. And a cult. See, Anti Darkus doesn't just like Dan and Drago. He likes them so much that he most likely thinks they should be the only real characters to have arcs and fuck every other character. And he also hates seeing them lose, which has happened a lot. And he's not the only person like this. Drake Flair is another fan who seriously loves Dan and Drago, and there are a few others that are the same. And there's nothing wrong with liking them. Honestly, I don't have anything against Dan and Drago. They're pretty cool characters, even if they sometimes do win by less than orthodox means. Haru's face says it all, really. But when someone loves a character to such an unhealthy obsession like this, that's when it's going to cause problems. Something like this. I don't really get what Hylian Flame thought they were going to achieve here, but I think Haru's response was pretty on point. Also, Hylian Flame basically proves my point. Hating any character for making a character he likes look like a fool. I mean, we already have this. But for real though, this is what I mean by unhealthy. And I want to point out that Hylian Flame is not the only one who's had a go at Haru. There's also Helios Viper, who still needs to learn how to punctuate, Blue Dragon Flame, whose account was created in 2020 with this being the only description, which is complete bullshit by the way, and Aaron Fox. You know, the guy who I brought up in these 3 videos who was also ban evading? Yeah, that guy. Now in regards to Aaron Fox, who's currently still ban evading on the platform by the way, turns out stealing videos isn't the only thing he's done. Apparently he also stole 4 images from a guy named Louigen, who's a news source for Bakugan with 0 credit going his way, which is something he's done in the past, which resulted in his last account getting terminated. His last account of 10, I think at this point, to which he seemed to just be laughing about it, like it's a big joke. The only joke, mate, is you. Especially when you jumped into Haru's Discord server upset about how he's spoken about you in said server, despite Haru saying the same shit on streams and stating he doesn't like you, so not really that big of a gotcha, while proving that you don't know anything about legalities, while making a rather stupid statement in regards to watching other shows on YouTube. Dude, Bakugan has its own official channel. Imagination doesn't. You literally have to search it up. I'd also like to point out how Aaron is basically acting like a gigantic crybaby, while also seeming to be taking a page out of Einar's book in regards to opinions, when that's not how that works, and also bringing up Haru's mum. Sorry, is this a preschool fight on the playground, or is this an adult conversation? And throughout this, Haru is being calm and collected, literally inviting Aaron onto his streams to talk it out, and Aaron's just acting like an immature child. Wanna bet? Also, Haru said that if you want to upload illegally, then go right ahead. Just don't cry about it when Spin Masters finds out and strikes your channel for uploading copyrighted content. Like, it's not a hard concept to grasp, is it? From the looks of it, you were being very civil. Like, you were even telling him that if he wanted to have a proper discussion about it, or he could just join one of your streams.
Yeah, I invited him to like come onto my stream. And this was when I was like streaming like more frequently, right? So I'm like, hey, yeah, you want to like hash it out, then yeah, come on to my stream. We'll talk. We'll debate it. I even I would have even done it privately if you wanted to.
Because he goes on to say how he's disappointed in you and that he thought his presence would stop you talking about him.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking there.
He also goes on talking about how he doesn't understand someone's illegalities and how the episodes are copyrighted on YouTube. That it all goes the official company, not his pocket. It's like he's trying to
justify his re-uploading. And it's like no, dude.
I was like, that's not how that works.
Plus they know that that's not how. He knows that that's not how that works. There's a difference between copyright claims and then copyright strike. He got striked. His last channel got removed from YouTube because he got striked like over 3 times.
Yeah, his last channel of like 10, is it? At this point?
Yeah, it's practically the whole series. So like 26 probably.
Shit.
But there's like but the one that's like the most famous, that one, I think that one like got a strike and then the rest got like probably claimed. I think that was how that worked. The one that I covered on the news video.
I also find it very childish how he brings up your mom. Very fucking childish.
I have no idea what he was thinking there. I think it was like some childish insult.
Like, does he think that makes him tough or something? Like,
I think he said like go cry to your mom or something like that.
Actually said, tell that to your mom, I'm not interested in how you feel about me, keep your opinion to yourself and don't poison other people on me.
If you didn't care what I thought about you, then why'd you come into my server trying to get me to stop talking about you?
I mean... It's a bit of a contradictive point, mate. And he goes on to say that he didn't come here to fight, let's leave each other alone.
Right, yeah, and that's why, yeah, and yet he comes onto my server and then tries to fight me.
But we're not here about Helios, Aaron, Blue Flame, or Drake Flare. We're here about Anti Darkus. Someone who is so fucking obsessed with Dan and Drago that he states it's practically law for every reboot of Bakugan to have them as the lead. When it really isn't. Also, just gonna put this out there, I came up with my own Bakugan series based off the OG Bakugan, and there is no Dan and Drago in it. I mean, there is a Dragonoid, but she's a Chaos Dragonoid and a girl.
Oh, so Dragonoid is just like one of those regular creatures that you can find.
Sort of, but this one, she works with a human called Justice, and they don't like Bakugan fighting for humans. They see that as Bakugan being used as things, and so they try to liberate the Bakugan and free them from their human captors.
Ah, okay, so pretty much Sophie.
She was that lady in Gen 2 with the Centipod, wasn't she? The hypocrite?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that episode because you have a little image of Susie Lou in it. My series, like, the main character is this guy called Ash, who uses whose teammate's Pyrus Ravenoid with 390 G power. He's his best friend.
Nice.
And he uses his ability cards somewhat wrong, but still manages to win a fight. If he got his Mantras out against an opponent's Bakugan, and he happens to have another Bakugan on his own somewhere else, he'll use, like, Marionette on his own Bakugan, and drag it into the fight.
So he's pretty much Joey.
Yeah,
Joey
but
from Yu-Gi-Oh.
but he also doesn't use, like, attribute cards. He uses only command cards. And one of his signature cards is the Pyrus command card, where the power levels switch.
Oh, and that's how he wins. That's how he wins his fights, right?
Sort of. It's like one of his signatures, yeah, Pyrus. So he
locks
lets his
out-
opponent
he locks out
power up, and then just before they're about to wipe him out, he activates the Pyrus command card and just
walk out with the command card and like steal the win.
yeah. And sometimes he'll even use, like, the attribute hazard cards to completely alter their attributes.
Hey, I mean, a character that's like Joey Wheeler's his way through the brawl. That's a character I could probably get behind.
But just look at these comments which I managed to find on a video by DC Network. It's quite fucking insane, if you ask me. But let's talk about his hatred for Haru, shall we? And this hatred is based off Haru thinking other characters are better than Dan and Drago? I mean, just by looking at this comment, it's also telling that he doesn't like how Spin Masters has treated them either. I also love how he brings up G1 Drago being a god. Hate to burst your bubble, but I've seen literally every episode of G1 Bakugan, and not once does Drago evolve into Genesis Dragonoid. Also, did you skip his battles with Darak and Razornoid or something? He also brings up Luke Skywalker like the similarities are at all similar when they really aren't. I mean, Luke Skywalker ended up the way he did because Kathleen Kennedy. Bakugan G2 and G3 are two completely different universes with completely different rules and lores in regards to Bakugan. The only thing that stays the same is that these universes each have humans interacting with Bakugan. That's basically about it. But I'm afraid that this is where things seriously start to get concerning, and that maybe this guy needs to go outside and touch some grass, instead of wanking to his shrine of Dan and Drago. I mean, I have the major hearts for the Dark Magician Girl, but even I go outside and socialize. Even if it is only at work. First of all, yes, you do have a very unhealthy obsession with Dan and Drago. It's about as unhealthy as— you know what, skip it, I'm not getting into this shit today, I have better things to do with my time. But Haru doesn't have an unhealthy obsession with Mia and Venturi from the new Bakugan. He just really likes them. They made a really good impression on him. Plus, Venturi is so cool looking. And he also wasn't obsessed with Magnus or Athena. Again, he just really liked them. But I can bet you he wasn't going to the comments spamming the fuck out of the comment section about how Magnus and Athena were the best characters ever from G2. How did Anti Darkus come across your channel? Like, when did you first notice Anti acting the way he does?
I think it was on, I think it was back in Bakugan Rising. There was an episode that was dedicated to, Magnus. It was when Magnus, was, like, in the Cubble colony or something like that. And, like, I gave that episode a pretty glowing review. And I think he was in my comment section, like, ranting and stuff. Something like that.
Do you remember what it was he was ranting about?
I don't know. None of his comments are cohesive to me.
I feel like that's like a recurring theme they bring up, is how you favor Magnus, Athena, Mia, and Ventry over Dan, and they call you obsessed with them. Like, are you? Like, is that statement they make correct, or is it just bollocks?
That is way bollocks. I don't know how it's favoritism if they were presented as really good characters and I actually, like, praise that.
Because this is something that people do in all these things. Like, even though there's a main character to a certain thing, you can't help but like another character a tad bit more. Or sometimes.
Yeah, because that other character was given a lot more story and a lot more fleshed out character arcs. So, like, Magnus, he has a very good character arc because you know, in the first season, he has a thing where, like, the reason why he's bad is because he loves his sister, who's like very sick. And then and then season 2 and beyond, he goes into more of a Batman character. Kind of like a redemption arc, pretty much. Athena's character, when she was introduced, she was pretty unlikable. But the reason why she's unlikable is because she has loneliness coming from her needing to achieve.
Loneliness.
Eventually, and eventually she grows and she learns to accept friendship and all that.
Okay. So she was alone. She was almost like a lone wolf almost. She wasn't good with people.
Yeah, pretty much. And she has like she's like a perfectionist. She tries to be like the absolute best student as possible.
I'd probably tell her there's no such thing as perfectionism. All you can do is just be the best you can be.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what she learns eventually.
Now for G3 with Mia and Ventry.
Mia.
Yeah, when you go, why is she not the main lead?
She's like your stereotypical Asian. She's given she's given an Asian arc where she's at home. She pretends to be this perfect student for her parents because she hides her pink hair and punk look. And throughout the series, she struggles to keep her balance between her like real self and her like perfect self. But despite that, she's really athletic. She's a great student, and you know all that. She's like the perfect child, but she doesn't look that way. And not to mention her parents don't know like she became a Bakugan brawler. And when that's because like she got the impression that her parents didn't like Bakugan, and if they don't like Bakugan, they obviously won't like her being involved with it. Her dad being a part of illegal experiments on Bakugan, and then she's like not only infuriated by that, but also saddened because if her dad is torturing Bakugan like that, they will never approve of her being a brawler. So not only that, there was one episode where like her mom almost catches her in her like pink hair look, and then her mom just faints, and then she quickly goes back to the black hair look, and then her mom thinks that she was just imagining things, and just like, oh okay, Mia's mom had that reaction. Obviously, she's not gonna tell them.
What about Ventry?
Ventry, she's Mia's
Bakugan.
So she actually has a pretty good character.
So she actually has a really good character. She's pretty much the one that protects Mia, and like she accepts her and she encourages her to like do everything.
she's pretty much the parent that Mia wishes that she had.
Oh.
The one that's always there for her, always supports her, no matter what she is or what she looks like. And she also gives Mia advice and all that, so she's always helping her.
I can see why people like Ventry, if that's the case.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone wished they had their own Ventry. He then goes on to call Haru the Donald Trump of YouTube. When did Haru become the same color as a mandarin? And tries to talk shit about his sub count only being at 5,000 and not being over 1 million. What's your sub count again? Someone goes on to say that you're the Donald Trump of YouTube. I think it was Anti, actually. He calls you the Donald Trump of YouTube and tries making fun of the fact you have only 5,000 subs and you're not over 1 million.
Yeah, I don't know where you got the Donald Trump thing from.
And I find...
I'll take the money part, but like... but like, I don't know how me and Trump have anything in common.
I find it funny how he brings up your sub count when he has, like, fuck all subscribers.
Yeah, it's like
you've got 5,000, he is like 238 at this point.
What did he say? Like, what did he say again? I have 5,000 subscribers and I've had my channel since 2015 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, like, and sorry that I didn't hit 1 million by now or something. But like, what about other Bakugan YouTubers like Jet Kuso, who's been on YouTube like way longer than me? He has over 100,000. He has an audience and all that. He hasn't reached 1 million, so is he bad too? What about other Bakugan YouTubers like Kimbo, who's been on YouTube way longer than me, and he has 100,000. He hasn't reached 1 million.
Also, Haru has literally befriended dozens of the voice actors from Bakugan, including the guy that voices Drago. And Haru has also had an impact on Bakugan G2. I'll let him explain here from an earlier video he made on my channel.
Look at my review on the Bakugan anime. Those videos, nobody asked for my opinion on the show, but I make my opinions be heard and create content from it. And guess what? My opinions got the voice actor of Phantom Thief Storm, Josh Graham, to praise me and endorse my channel. My opinion on the character Magnus got me to be close friends with his voice actor Julius Cho. And he told me that it's because of my opinions and the overwhelming fan support that the writers of the show gave Magnus a more significant role in the second season.
Also, Bakugan G1's rules and play is simple and far less complicated than G2 and 3. Just a fact. Also, there is seriously nothing wrong with Haru asking about Mia not being the main lead. Nothing at all. Also, what the fuck is up with these Bro, as much as Shanice likes to playfully tell me that I need to get laid, you seriously need it more than me, mate. And a girl. Speaking of, can you definitively prove Haru actually said Mia was best girl? Can you prove him saying those exact words? Because if not, then kindly shut up, you knob jockey. And I mean, this is basically what he does, okay? He's either bitching about Haru liking Magnus, Athena, and Mia, or him droning on about Dan and Drago. That's basically the gist. And Kaiser Blade asks a pretty good question here, to which Andy says that side characters are never better than the main characters. What the fuck have you been watching to have come to that conclusion? Because I have seen programs where there have been side characters that were far better than the main. While yes, this isn't always the case, that's not to say it's 100% a fact, because it isn't. Oh, please, for the love of God, shut the fuck up about Dan and Drago. Please, just... Ugh. Boo-hoo, who the actual fuck gives a shit? You know what, I was gonna save this for later on in the video, but I've decided to do it now. Dan and Drago are the Bakugan what Pikachu is the Pokemon. Iconic, but overrated. Yeah, I said it. They are not the greatest characters in the entire franchise. Hell, Link's more interesting than them for crying out loud. Hell, so was Fury despite him only lasting about 3 seconds. But I think you should be aware that Dan and Drago haven't won every single fight they were in. In the OG Bakugan, they lost to Wait, that ended in a draw. But a technical loss for those two, so kinda counts in a way. They lost to Shun and Skyrus, they lost to Masquerade and Dual Hydronoid, they drew with Ace and Percival, they lost to Gus and Vulcan, they lost to Spectra and Helios, and even drew a couple of times. They lost to Xenoheld and Hydron with their mechanical Bakugan Fabros and Dryoid, while Dan teamed up with Spectra and Mira. They lost to Sid and Zenith with their Bakugan Rubinoid and Contestio, while he teamed with Ren. He drew in his first battle with Barodius and Darak, and then lost their second encounter. They They lost to Kazarina and Lumagrow while teamed with Fabia and Jake. They lost to Anubius and Herodian, though I think they got disqualified there. They lost to Amazon, which I think was deliberate. They lost to both Anubius and Cellon. They lost to Magmel and Razornoid while teamed up with Marucho, Shun, Wraith, Paige, Ren, and a bunch of Gondalian soldiers. Then they tied. They lost to Wiseman and the No-Net Bakugan and Mactavius Destroyer. They lost to Slicerak, Exostriker, and Mandiboy while teamed with Shun and Marucho. Lost to Wiseman again, and lost to Slicerek, Exostrider, and Mandibor, as well as Olito Cordogon while teamed with Shun and Marucho. And that's just Gen 1. In Gen 2, they lost to Winton and Trux, mainly because of Dan. They lost to Leah and Gorthion while teamed with Winton. They lost to Trux, who wanted to prove to Winton that he didn't need him to help win fights. They lost to Magnus and Nilius while teamed with Leah, Winton, and Shun. Lost to Magnus solo. They lost to Shun and Fade Ninja. They drew against the Exit team while teamed up with the Awesome Ones. They lost to Colonel Armstrong and Pandox while teamed with the Awesome Ones. Only lost to Bracken due to Trap, so we're not counting that one. Lost to Magnus again while teamed up with the Awesome Ones. And that's all I'm going to say because otherwise this video will be going on forever. However, in the new generation of Bakugan, they lost to Vendry. But I don't think I'm really expressing the point I'm making. When a tournament happened which Mia won, Anti bitched about Dan not even being a part of it, and then about how Spin Masters has made both him and Draco basically pathetic, while still trying to somehow express his hatred of Magnus, Athena, and Mia. Can someone please tell this guy that Dan and Drago are never going to sleep with him? In the OG, they had so much battle experience and worked so well together that it's no real wonder that they won more fights than lost. And if they both heard how you treat others, they would castrate you into the next generation. And then probably after that, you'd hate the both of them and talk shit about them too. The voice actors for Dan and Drago have told you that they don't... they've said that they don't approve of how Anti and his gang of misfit retards act.
Yeah.
Like that. And I even say in my script that Dan and Drago would disavow that in a heartbeat.
Not Dan, but like the voice act. Drago would definitely disavow all that. Like I've heard from people in my community that they've been getting harassment from these people, and I'm like, oh my god, that is not okay. Yeah, like, I could care less what they would say about me, but like when you start going after people in my community who's just watching the show and then watching my videos, wanting to like share their opinion on the episodes that I cover, that when you go after them, that's when it becomes a problem.
Because
I don't know. I talked to I talked to Joystick Jesse, and I actually warned him about it as well. I was worried that they would go after him too, because like Jesse's doing like amazing work in the community, and him and I are pretty good friends. But he hasn't heard anything about it.
Oh yeah, did I forget to mention he's had beef with Fankitten? Because he has. And Fankitten made a video exposing Anti Darkus for using the F-slur. And Anti then made a playlist dedicated to Fankitten. And I'd say that this guy reminds me of a certain someone, but for once, I'm gonna try and keep his name out of it. Mainly because I don't want to have to rip him a new arsehole for bad-mouthing the death of my cat. Another time. But in regards to this situation, Anti is the only twat like this. There are also these morons who I'm guessing only seem to hate Ventry and Haru because Haru likes Ventry while they don't. Not exactly a great reason to hate a character and a person, but alright. Also, how the ever-living fuck is Haru a toxic hypocrite? I'd seriously love for you to provide evidence that supports that claim. Just like how I'm providing evidence of you being a gigantic fucking Fruit Loop who needs serious help. I also find it funny how Anti calls you a toxic hypocrite. How are you toxic or a hypocrite?
I don't know.
What glue has Anti been sniffing?
I have no idea. I hope it's not Elmer's.
Haru is not even close to being like J. Jonah Jameson. If anything, he's more like the Danicast. And if Ventry isn't in the next reboot, then I'm pretty sure Haru ain't gonna flip out. It wouldn't be the end of the world. You didn't? Really? That's not what this comment shows. Reading this guy's comments is like listening to anyone within the BTS army who is so obsessed with them that they refuse to see any fault in them, and that they are the best thing since sliced bread, only more fucking deranged. Oh, and apparently there's an imposter of Anti Darkus going around called Anti Darkus or Aunt Darkus, which I dare anyone to try and find because I fucking can't. And I got given this showing 3 comments made by said account, which I find pretty funny and trolly. I also find it funny how Anti Darkus thinks he can sue this person for impersonating him when A, it's obviously a troll just having fun, and B, that you think this is bad, yet someone impersonating Fankitten is A-okay. And I can tell you how that's not fair, because his actual account is at Fankitten9622, while this one is FreakKitten364. Double standards much? Also, back to the whole suing him part, how the fuck is that even going to work? It's obviously a troll, and I'm fairly certain you're not the only person online who uses the name Anti Darkus. And I'd seriously love for you to also provide proof that this troll is Fankitten's alt, which I can already call bullshit as he doesn't need an alt account to troll you. I've seen his roasts and burns plenty of times back in another drama. Also, how do we make sure that eventually plushie becomes a literal thing? Because I legit want one, she cute. What fucking lawsuit? What are you on about, you utter moron? What possible damages could you sue the impersonator for that weren't already self-inflicted to begin with? Also, I'm just gonna point something out here for you knuckleheads. Fankitten has a real-life job where he's a researcher. He gets paid a fuck ton of money. He literally has better things to do with his time than make a stupid alt account just to troll you. And again, what about the one who did it to Fankitten? Also, calling bullshit on that one. Also, you are aware that you don't actually own your profile picture, right? I mean, I don't think it'd be hard finding it in Google Images. And you're also not the only one who uses them as the profile picture. You didn't make your profile picture. You simply just went to Google and got it from there. Now look, I'm all for liking certain characters. I have nothing against that. But being so fucking obsessed with said character that you turn it into a fucking cult, which you basically admitted to it being in this comment, is seriously unhealthy and shows that you need to get out more. And I also think you need serious fucking help when you're posting shit like this. Bro, that's just fucked up. And as I said before, Dan and Drago are overrated. They are not the coolest things for the show. And again, if Dan and Drago ever actually caught you acting like this, they would disavow your ass in a heartbeat. Because you are so fucking unhinged and in need of serious fucking help. The way you act is just beyond bad. It's wrong. Bakugan doesn't need Dan and Drago to keep fans around, just like Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't need Yugi or any of the other original characters. My own character for Bakugan, Ash, would be a good new main lead for Bakugan with how he plays, which would basically use nothing but command cards and use certain ability cards the wrong way, yet somehow still manage to win a fight with pure skill. But because you're so deranged and obsessed with those 2 characters, you refuse to believe the show can continue without them. If, in Season 2 of Gen 3, they decided to reduce Dan and Drago's screen time, I highly doubt it'll have that big of an impact as you think. Let's play hypotheticals for a second. If in Series 2 of Gen 3, they decided to reduce Dan and Drago's screen time, do you think that'll have, what type of impact do you think they would have?
They did?
No, if...
Wait,
If in Season 2 of Gen 3, they decided to reduce Dan and Drago's screen time, what type of impact do you think it would have?
Oh, okay. If they do that,
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. It doesn't. It really just depends how they write it. To be honest with you, like if they want to focus more on like other, because there's like five members of the Misfits, right? So, oh no, there's Thundercrunch, there's Juno, Dan. Oh yeah, there's 5. Yeah, there's 5 members of the Misfits, so they want to try and divide it more into like trying to lean more into each characters. Then it won't really matter that much if Dan and Drago's screen time get reduced if they're trying to focus on the other Misfits characters as individuals. But they really gotta work on that. They can't. They should not half-ass it. So if it's good, then the screen time being reduced is not going to be bad. But if they need to rely on Dan and Drago to like come and save the runtime, then yeah, that's going to be come off as desperate and kind of a bad idea.
If after Gen 3, they're done with Gen 3, they then decide to Gen 4, because they start running out of ideas, and they decide this time they're not going to include Dan and Drago, how would that make you feel as a fan of the series?
Well, I'd be shocked first of all, because the only thing I really agree with them about is that Dan and Drago are the poster children of the franchise. So obviously, if you're gonna have Bakugan, you're gonna have Dan and Drago. But if they decide to like go the Pokemon route where they change up the main character after like so many years, as long as it's good, then I'm all for it.
But how you act? You're not a real Bakugan fan. Real fans don't act as toxically as you and your stupid group do. Real fans don't go out and attack people for finding other characters better and more interesting than the characters you like. You're nothing but a joke and a blight to the community. And that's why people like Haru will always be better than you, and why he'll continue to soar higher and higher while you eventually fade into obscurity and irrelevancy. That, my friend, is the cold, hard truth. Now to deal with your channel. Dan, if you please.
Ability card, activate! Boosted Dragon!